Shields up, Ironbreakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video, and today I would like to talk a little bit about Destiny 2. So it's been about 20 days since the release of Destiny 2, and I've been playing it for quite some time at this point. As a matter of fact, I've been doing a lot of videos. I've shown you guys the raid, I've shown you guys some of the nightfalls, I've created a clan in Destiny 2, which is something that I haven't done in a lot of games, and the main reason was this time around the clan stuff was actually in the game, and I figured I could get some of you guys to play with me, and I've been having a lot of fun with that just because it is very convenient with everything that is implemented into the game. The whole thing that you can actually see people in your clan and you can just instantly invite them to your fire team. You don't have to mess around with friends lists or whatever. And you can just straight up then invite them into a party because the in-game communication system's not that great. And you can just straight up form a raid party, go into the raid and have fun. That has been something that has really captivated me and kind of kept me glued onto Destiny 2. But my experience with Destiny 2 has been far from perfect. So I made a video back I'm not sure if it was a week ago or something, where I talked about kind of like, it was almost like my review of Destiny, even though I no longer consider that I can do reviews. I just kind of do my own personal opinion on it. Some of you will consider that a review. Personally, I don't think of it like that. And I talked about a lot of things that I thought were right and a lot of things that I thought were wrong. But that was fairly close to the release of the game. And I figured that now that I've had more time to really think about stuff, I wanted to talk about a couple of more things that I think Destiny should really improve on. And specifically the very first one that I have to bring up. And I think a lot of people have kind of brought this up, particularly because a lot of the reviewers and people that don't like that much about Destiny's story and all this stuff, they don't actually know about these things because they don't even bother to research it. And I understand, because I also think that my point that I'm about to bring up is that these things that I will mention to you should be in the game. And as a matter of fact, that's like the very first point that I have to bring up, which is lore. It's like, I was so surprised yesterday because I spent a large portion of the evening as I was playing Destiny. I was just farming some glimmer so that I could do a couple of things, and I will tell you why I'm a little bit upset with some of the glimmer dumps in the game. But like, as I was farming the glimmer, because I mean basically farming glimmer is going through public events or doing strikes, basically doing things that don't require that much attention. It's just like you going through the motions. I always like having something in the background. Sometimes it's Netflix. I usually do this with Elite Dangerous as well. Like, I'll just have something running in the background. However, this time around I was like, I want to really immerse myself in Destiny, so let's look for some maybe interesting Destiny videos. And I came across this YouTube channel called My Name is Bife. Now, he's much bigger than me. He's like nearly 500,000 subs at this point. But the interesting thing that I thought is this is a person who is dedicated to kind of like the Destiny lore, which is something that I personally haven't devoted that much time into because, let's face it, the story of the original Destiny fell extremely short of what we would have wanted. And I never bothered looking much beyond what was shown into the game. Which, surprisingly enough, if you do look beyond what is shown in the game, you guys will get your minds blown. At least I personally got my mind blown by some of the stuff that this guy was talking about in his videos. Now, this guy, My Name is Bife, he goes to like through multiple grimoire cards and multiple fan theories and story things that happen, and he just kind of compiles stuff into lore videos. It's almost like if he was the VaatiVidya of Destiny 2, to put it into perspective for you guys, my audience, because you guys all know what VaatiVidya does. This guy does kind of like the same thing, but for Destiny. And not just Destiny 2, it's Destiny and Destiny 2. So the interesting thing on a lot of these videos, just to give you guys a couple of like random facts that aren't even mentioned in the game at all, or if they're mentioned, they're just kind of mentioned in between you shooting enemies, so it's kind of hard for you to kind of like, you know, get an idea of what is actually happening because you're focusing on shooting people. It's not like you're focusing on what your ghost is saying. You're focusing on getting your next headshot. You're focusing on picking up that little bit of loot or the ammo pack that you need in order to shoot things. You're not taking time to actually absorb the lore and things that are happening around you while you are killing the Hive and the Fallen and all these other things. So one of the things that he talked about, for instance, was the Ahamkara. And I was like, what the hell is the Ahamkara? I've never heard this mentioned in-game anywhere. Maybe it's in some fucking item description somewhere. Who the hell knows? but I've definitely never seen the Ahamkara mentioned. Who are these dragons? I'm not going to get into it. Like, if you guys really want to know, you should check out his stuff. The thing is, my name is Bife. Go check him out. And he's got like tons of information about just everything that you can possibly think of about Destiny. But basically, the Ahamkara are like these dragons that granted you wishes in exchange for favors and influence and stuff like that, right? And these are barely mentioned. And eventually, the people from the city, they actually hunted the Ahamkara down to near extinction. But as you start understanding the story behind the Ahamkara, and then something that is called the Book of Sorrow and the darkness itself, you're going to see that there's actually a lot of depth to the lore in Destiny. Like, amazingly, just like really deep lore. I'm not talking about just the surface stuff that you experience just by going through the story. And I'm not sure if it's Bungie's intention that people actually go out of their way to find all of this information. But for instance, here's another piece of information that probably a lot of you guys that just played Destiny, you don't even know. You guys remember Oryx from the Taken King? Did you know that he used to be a female? Yes, that's right. Oryx used to be a female character. Okay? Now, just think about all of the things that happened that went to the point that Oryx is now a male character, okay? Because there's a lot of stuff that happened. There's a lot to the story of Oryx. Like, I was blown away about the story of the three sisters and how they killed each other to gain power and all of these other things that just kind of happened. It's just mind-blowing, okay? So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of really deep lore that you're supposed to be able to get from Destiny. But you have to go out of your way, right? You have to go to the Grimoire. You have to read about all of these things in different Grimoire cards. And I'm not even sure if they're properly how organized they are. Like, if I want to just look up Ahamkara stuff, I don't know how organized that stuff is. And it's just like, why can't they just put this all into the game like a massive codex that you can just look at information whenever you want to? Because I kind of feel like this is something that I would like to personally delve into a lot more. And just check out all of these different backstories for the different characters like Radagast and Saint 14 and all of these other characters that you never even hear of while you're going through the game. Or even if you do hear of them, it's like you just hear some incoherent babble coming from your ghost and you're not paying attention to it because usually you're playing with friends and you're communicating through PlayStation Party, so the volume of the game is even going to be lower than usual, and there's all these important lore tidbits that are just getting thrown at you while you're talking with your friends about what you had for lunch, which is usually what you're doing in co-op games, what you had for lunch or something cool that you saw on some TV show or something. You're just basically bantering with your friends, and they're trying to present story and deep aspects of the lore while that is going on, and it's just not possible, which is why there should be a record that is kind of like kept so that I could go back and watch it. Like, another interesting thing would be, for instance, when you finish the raid, I'm not going to go into spoiler territory, I just want to tell you that when you do finish the raid, there's a very important piece of dialogue that happens immediately after you kill the boss. And it's like, what do you think people are going to do when you kill the final boss of the raid? Do you think they're all going to be quiet and like just, oh, everybody shut up, let's listen to what the boss has to say? Of course not. Everybody's screaming and excited about the fact that they just killed the final boss of the raid. They're not paying attention to what he's saying. You know, it's just like, forget about that. Don't even present major story dialogue after you make players like wipe on a boss for like an hour or something, figuring out the mechanics, because they're not going to listen. They're just going to be super happy that they finally did it. Like, and the first time I personally did the raid boss, my group was just like screaming all over their microphones. People were trying to teabag the boss's corpse. Everything was happening. I couldn't hear a single thing the boss said. Like, not a single word. And I was trying to, but I just couldn't. It was impossible. And it's like, if there was a record that was being kept that I could just go to a codex, it's like, here are the things that you listened to while you were going through the raid. You know, like in this section, like you were at the Castellum. At the Castellum, here's something that your ghost said. Here's a bit of information that you uncovered by scanning this item. Like, for instance, you have all of these planets in Destiny 2, right? You got Nessus, you got Earth, you got Io, you got Titan, and what about all of the scannable things that I'm collecting while I'm doing, like, you know, I'm doing quests and I'm collecting these scannables, and it's like, where are they stored? They're nowhere. I have to go back and search for them again if I want to listen to what Ghost has to say. And it's like, it should just be all organized in-game so that I could just go in there and just look at it, listen to it, figure out where that thing was, why it makes sense, so that I could link the pieces together instead of having to go online and look this stuff up, which is what some people are doing. Now, naturally, you could also argue, and this is an important point, that nowadays there is like a subset of the community that is dedicated to uncovering this kind of stuff. But it's like I still feel there's a place for them, even after this stuff is in game, because they can still look at it, they can still come up with fan theories. It actually probably makes their job even easier. So I don't know, because I mean, there's an argument there to be made that's like, oh no, it's for the community so that they can explore together and figure things out. But it's like, you know, I don't want to have to go out of the game to learn all of these things. I want to be able to learn all of it in the game. Like, you could argue that most of the Dark Souls stuff, sure, you can go to VatiVidia's videos and check out a lot of the lore stuff, but you also have a lot of that lore actually in the game, in the item descriptions, in the places that you go to, and you can explore them anytime you want, right? At least everything is in the game, and most of the stuff that VatiVidia has gotten from his videos has been from item descriptions that are found inside the game. So to me, the whole aspect of things being in the game is kind of a pretty big deal, and I really wish there was more to it, because like, I am telling you right now, a lot of people seem to think that the lore and the story of Destiny is pretty much paper thin, and you will be surprised the depth that they go into when they're talking about stuff like Book of Sorrows, Diam Kara, even the past of Gaul and the past of Emperor Callus and the things he's done and why the council is the way he is, like all of the things that happened to, not the consul, I don't know, the dude who's in red armor next to Gallus, the things that guy has endured. Like, just to give you a very small little tidbit of information here that, I don't know, could be considered a little bit spoilery, I don't know, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. But like, that guy who's sitting next to Gaul, he was castrated by Callus, okay? Callus castrated that motherfucker. I'm not even joking. Like, this straight up happened. And it's just like, and there's a reason why it happened, and the other things that Callus did to him, and the reason why he's seeking vengeance through Gaul, and the reason why Gaul is such a good fighter, and all of these things. This is all explained, and it's like, it's almost nowhere to be seen. It never really takes front stage, all of this amazing backstory, and it's just very frustrating. Like, as I was watching these videos yesterday, I was getting blown away with the amount of information that was getting thrown my way. It was actually too much to absorb, but it was really good. You know, like the lore and the depth and all of these things that a lot of people will just go to Destiny and be like, oh dude, Destiny story, piece of trash, nobody cares, all that stuff. It's like, no dude, there's actually some really deep and pretty cool shit in there. Like, you would be very surprised. It's just, I would say 90% of its player base is never exposed to it, so they have no idea it's there. And really, like, just seriously, if you're curious about any of this stuff, you should check out the guy. His thing is, my name is Byf. Just Byf is BYF. Just like, look that stuff up if you're into Destiny and just check it out, because it's really cool. Now, another couple of things that I would like to bring up in regards to Destiny 2, now that I've gotten more time with it, now that I've gotten to play around with it a little bit more, I've done the raid, I think, like, is it 3 or 4 times now? I don't even know. I've done the raid a bunch of times. As a matter of fact, I've repeated the raid in order to just get more Ironbreakers through the raid, because I know all of the tactics to the raid now, and I can usually get people to kind of like get to their best performance, and like, you know, just I can usually tell people what they should be doing, what they're doing wrong, so on and so forth, and kind of help people out in progressing. I'm not saying I'm special or anything. I'm just saying, like, it's fun to get people through the raid so that they get to experience the raid, because I personally never did a whole lot of raiding in the original Destiny, and I think raiding is one of the coolest things about Destiny. So about the raid, I do have to say that there are 2 encounters that bother me a little bit. I've mentioned this in my raid guide video, and I just want to kind of briefly touch up on this. And one of the encounters that really bothers me is the Pleasure Gardens encounter. And I know that people have all kinds of strategies that they do and they get through that thing, and it's not a big problem anymore for most people. But it just bothers me that it's such a glitched encounter with so many random elements that just kind of ruin the fun. Like dogs falling from the sky and detecting your people with the prisms. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. Dogs randomly detecting people on top of stones. Dogs glitching and just starting to move backwards into your raid. Dogs glitching and recovering their whole health in between damage phases. It's like all of this stuff happens. It's like the Pleasure Gardens was barely QA tested at all. And it's a serious problem. And it's going to be a serious deterrent to the more casual people to be able to go through that, because they might not be willing to work around all of the glitches that I personally have encountered and that my raid team has encountered, to the point where we were actually doing things differently to account not for mechanics, but for glitches of what was happening in the thing. Because we were like, okay, so if we do this, we know that the dogs are going to glitch, so it is a little bit predictable. So we're going to just like circumvent the glitch and do things differently. We'll adapt our strategies around the amount of glitches that happen in this encounter. And I just think that's ridiculous. So Pleasure Gardens needs to be fixed. There's like no argument there. Like, don't even try to tell me, oh no, Pleasure Garden is fine. You're full of shit. Okay, Pleasure Gardens is glitched beyond belief. And we're not even struggling to do it anymore. And I still think it's a glitched piece of trash. So Pleasure Gardens needs to get fixed ASAP for that raid to really become cool. I have nothing to say about the Royal Pools. Royal Pools are pretty cool encounter, super simple. And it uses mechanics in a really cool way, in my opinion. The Gauntlet I thought was really cool as well, because even though it's a mechanically heavy encounter, there is very little RNG. Actually, I don't think there's any RNG to it at all. It's just like, you do things right, things will work out. The only time that you will wipe in Gauntlet is because your raid made a mistake. That's it. There's no random bullshit happening. And then there's Callus. And in Callus, I also thought that there are a couple of things in Callus that are a bit bullshit. For starters, the ammo drop rate in the Callus fight is lower than the rest of the raid. Like, this is the only encounter where I'm constantly hearing people say, I'm out of ammo. I don't have ammo. They're going into the dimension and they don't have ammunition. And I'm just like, this is fucked up. And not to mention, not only it is glitched because it's not dropping as much ammo as it should, there's another glitch to it, which is ammo sometimes stops glowing. You know how whenever there's an ammo crate in the ground, there's like a little column of glowing light on top of it to kind of mark, look, there's ammunition here. It's kinetic, it's energy, it's power. You can even see it by the color. Those little glowing lights, they just stop appearing for some reason. So there's some kind of glitch there as well, where even though there might be ammo on the ground, it's not properly marked, so you can't see it from far away. Which basically what that does is during ad phases, I just tell my team that goes into dimensions, like, don't even kill ads. Just look for ammunition. Don't even do anything until you have ammunition, and only then you can help out everybody else, which makes it a lot harder for everybody else, because it's basically 3 people handling ads while 3 other people are looking for ammunition, which I think is kind of unreasonable. And then the other thing in that encounter is that the scions inside that I mentioned, every now and then, you know, a scion will just spawn, instantly cast his grenade, and that's it. Just dicks you over. Because if the scion spawns and instantly casts his grenade, it's very hard for some people to just like instantly get a headshot on the scion as he spawns. And if he just spawns, casts a grenade, somebody's going to die. It just 9 times out of 10, someone will die if a scion spawns and casts a grenade. And it feels like it's a little bit RNG-ish in that aspect. But other than that, I thought it was fine. It's not a particularly hard encounter. I think dogs is harder just because it's glitchy as balls, in my opinion. Not to mention you actually need someone that knows the paths through the pleasure gardens to take everybody to the flowers and all that other stuff. Another thing that I would like to bring up is, where's spaceship combat? Like, I think that's probably one of the features that a lot of people have been asking for since Destiny 1, because you have these really cool spaceships. Why can't you have space battles with them, you know? It just seems like the logical next step for it. I'm still holding hope against hope that they're going to bring that at a later date as part of one of the 2 DLCs that is coming out. And that would be really cool, but in my opinion, it should have been there like from the start. Because, I mean, you even have that amazing cutscene during the Homecoming mission where you see Amanda Holiday doing all those crazy maneuvers. It's one of my, it's actually, I was going to say one of my favorites. I think it is my favorite cutscene of the whole game is when Amanda Holiday is doing those crazy maneuvers in her ship. It just looks real good, you know? And it just makes you, it's just something that makes you want to fly those ships and actually have those kinds of engagements, like have strike type things where you and your team just go with their ships and do cool stuff. Like, that would be awesome, and I really wish that was in the game. Then naturally, a couple of more things that have upset me. I've talked about this in another video, I think, which was the shaders. Shaders is still, in my opinion, like a really bad way of doing things, the whole one-time shader thing. And looks like it's here to stay because there's been huge community backlash, and we haven't seen any reaction from Bungie. At least if there has been a reaction, I don't think there's been a reaction in our favor. Then again, I haven't really been following it that much. It just seems to be something they're like, no, dude, microtransactions are real cool. You should totally just, like, fucking buy bright engrams and shit because that's cool. And bright engrams, super frustrating. One-time use shaders, super frustrating, particularly because you always swap in gear and stuff and you don't want to apply shaders. And to top things off, like some of the shaders, if you want to apply them to your ship, it's a ridiculous amount of glimmer. And while at the start of the game, I was like, dude, I have more glimmer than I know what I could possibly ever do with. Nowadays that I have a better understanding of the mods system in the game, I understand that, like, oh, dude, I can't get enough glimmer. Like, I'm always glimmer starved because I'm trying to get the proper mods. Speaking of which, this brings me to mods, which, again, is one of those things where people are like, oh, dude, bright engrams are not a problem at all. They don't affect gameplay, yada, yada, yada. It's not an issue at all. And now I can most definitely say that is bullshit. Because if I could, and it's like I really want to just, like, if... I'm just so frustrated with this. It's just I really want to just buy a fuck ton of bright engrams because I need specific mods. So one of my decisions for Destiny 2, this is a personal thing, is that in Destiny 1 I played with all the classes, and I can safely say I never really excelled at any one class because I played with every single one of them. I played with the Titan, I played with the Warlock, then I played with the Hunter, then I went back to the Titan. Basically I went back and forth. This time around I was like, no. I'm going to focus on one class, and I'm going to be the best I can possibly be at one class, and that class was Titan. So what I've been trying to do in my time in Destiny, whenever I'm not raiding and, you know, doing the weekly stuff to get the powerful engrams and all this other things, the thing that I've been trying to do to optimize my gear is to optimize my gear for each of my subclasses. So the mods, to give you guys an idea, there's multiple mods that do a bunch of stuff, like you have mods that increase reload speed for your kinetic weapons, that increase your handling for your kinetic weapons, and then the same thing for energy as well as power weapons. You also have mods that increase your mobility, mods that increase your recovery, mods that increase your resilience. You have all kinds of mods. But to me, personally, the mods that I want, which I could be wrong, I don't give a damn. This is the way I want to build my characters. I want mods that reduce cooldown on my abilities. That's what I want to do. So basically, if I'm playing Arc, I want to have my armor just chock full of mods that give me Arc cooldown reduction. And you guys are like, well, that's kind of like, you know, you would have to spend a lot of time grinding in order to get that. And I'm like, okay, I understand, which is why I've spent a lot of time grinding in order to be able to get this. The problem is that there's too much goddamn RNG in the process. It's not like I can go to the gunsmith and be like, hey, dude, I want arc mods. Like, sure, randomize the arc mod that I get. Like, give me arc melee, arc grenade, or arc class abilities, whatever. Randomize the mod that you give me, but at least let me, like, narrow it down, or at least let me narrow it down to, I don't know, an armor piece that I want the thing for. But there's no narrowing it down, and there's just, like, tons and tons of mods that you can get, to the point where I've had over 10 mods for applying, like, solar damage, and I'm talking a legendary type, for applying solar damage to energy weapons. And I'm just like, dude, I'm done with friggin' solar energy damage on weapons. I don't need them anymore. I've got 10 of them. And it's like, I can't find a single mod that will give me some kind of solar ability cooldown, be it grenades, melee, or class abilities on my Titan mark since the beginning of me playing this game. And I probably at this point, I don't know if I have, like, I must have at least like 60 hours into it or something of that nature. And I've been trying to get solar mods since then. I still don't have a solar mod for my arms. I still don't have a solar mod for my Titan mark. And to me, that's just unreasonable, especially if you consider that I've spent most of my efforts in-game whenever I'm not raiding or doing, you know, something with my clan every single minute that I have of time is spent trying to get those mods when I'm playing Destiny 2, of course. And I just think it's unreasonable that I still haven't found... I'm not even saying that I want to find every single mod that I possibly need. But it's like, I find it unreasonable that I can't find a Titan Mark solar mod. You know? It's just... It strikes me as extremely unreasonable. I know maybe I've been unlucky with the RNG, but it's like, you get to a point where you're just like, why am I spending so much time playing it then? Because I keep getting these same friggin' mods. I can't seem to get the mods that I want, and I can pour more time into the game, but it's like, why? If I'm just going to keep getting the same garbage mods that I have no interest in. And then you're like, oh yeah, but you can break the mods and you can roll them again. And yeah, I've done that. And imagine how it feels like to be at Glimmer Cap, 99,000 Glimmer, burn everything in mods and not get a single mod that you could possibly want. Like, I think the whole mod system is very frustrating. And this is where the Bright Engrams come in. Because, like, if I was the kind of person, like, if I was one of those, what they call whales in the mobile market, this is when I would be like, oh, dude, fuck this farming Glimmer thing. I'm just going to put money into the Bright Engrams, and they'll just give me a crap ton of mods, and eventually I'll get it through there. You know? And there you go. You're instantly affecting what is happening in the game. You're instantly affecting gameplay and performance and power with real money. Because you guys are like, oh, but the engrams that you get out of the mods that you get out of Bright Engrams are just rare. It's not a big thing. Yeah, but you get 3 of those rares, and you can trade them for a legendary, at which point you get +5. Not to mention that I personally have gotten 1 +5 mod from a Bright Engram, even though everybody tells you it's impossible. And I'm like, it can't be impossible because it's happened to me. I don't know if it was a glitch, and considering how many glitches I've found in the game up until this point, it doesn't surprise me in the least that it could have been a glitch. It wasn't supposed to be in that loot table, but what I can tell you is that it definitely happened. I got a legendary mod from a Bright Engram. It happened. I saw it happen in front of me, and I swear to God, if I knew that it was a glitch or whatever, I would have recorded it, but I didn't even think of it. I just thought it was a regular thing that could come out of Bright Engrams. And, you know, that's where the game is breaking for me right now, is that, you know, I want to be able to perform. Right now, my main spec, I would have to say, is Arc. Because Arc, in my opinion, if you're raiding and you're trying to deal damage, Arc is just the most powerful you could possibly ever be as a Titan for the current raid. I could be wrong, but this is my personal opinion, just because those grenades are super powerful. The exotic helmet that you have that allows you to recharge your grenades to near infinity, as well as have infinite melee hits so long as you keep killing stuff. It's just like, it becomes an extremely powerful beast. And Sentinel and Sunbreaker just basically lag behind. I mean, I went to a point where in a raid that I was playing, people were telling me, you can't use your grenades. This wasn't one of my raids. This was another raid. You can't use your grenades because you're damaging the dogs in Pleasure Gardens too fast. And I was like, what? I'm not even the highest light level in this raid, and you're telling me you want me to play without using my grenades because I'm dealing too much damage as a striker? Come on. That's unreasonable. But basically, this is the point that has been very frustrating for me, is that, you know, I want to play as the other subclasses. And even though I'm okay with them not being as powerful, but at least I want to be able to optimize my gear. And quite simply, I can't, because it's complete RNG. And unless I spend more time farming more Glimmer or pouring actual real money into the game, I'm never going to be able to fully optimize my class the way I want to, because the mods dropping are just too RNG. And yeah. And then one more thing that I want to bring up before I bring this video to an end is timed nightfalls. Good God. What a terrible decision to make. It almost feels like, oh, so you figured you couldn't make it any harder, so you just added a time limit on it. It is, without a doubt, one of the things that I hate the most about this game, and I'm actually very fearful that if the raid prestige mode brings this into the game. Like, if we go into prestige raid mode and there's just like a timer counting down, I'm going to instantly exit, and I'm going to tell whoever's with me is like, look, you guys want to do this? Go ahead, have fun. I'm not participating on it, because I find the time pressure to be just not fun. It's just straight up a not fun mechanic. The pressure of the time constantly ticking down is just not fun for me. And that's something that I've been realizing. Again, this is a personal thing, which means some people might actually like that kind of challenge, the whole time trial aspect to the Nightfalls right now, and that's fine. If you're into it, cool. Leave it in the comments. Let me know why you like it and all that stuff. But to me, it takes me back to stuff like the Ringed City, where I was like, I had to rush through things because there's a dude shooting at me. Or Neo, the original DLC, where I have to rush through things because there's people shooting at me and they will not stop until I reach a certain checkpoint in the level. And that stuff is just like, whenever a game tries to rush me through things, it triggers some kind of response in me that's just like stresses me out to levels that I personally become toxic. Like I'm sure that the people who have done Nightfalls with me in the Ironbreakers Clan, they probably noticed that whenever there's some kind of a time thing coming at me, that there's the friggin' timer on screen telling like, oh, you got 5 minutes left, you got that, I just like, my brain explodes and I'm just like, fuck this stupid time thing, just like get it out of my face. I don't even want to look at it. I just... And guess what? That mission that you get for the raid, for that special exotic weapon, it's a time Nightfall type thing where you have 7 minutes and you have Prism and you have these... I hate time things. I guess that's just maybe a problem that I personally have, but I don't like it at all. I'm curious to know what you guys think about the time Nightfalls thing, where particularly the one that we had this week, where it's like, oh, find the anomalies. Oh, it's so much fun. It's like, I love being basically next to monsters that can two-shot me, and at the same time, I can't even be in cover because I need to be looking around searching for anomalies that are like somewhere and whatever, you know, and you have to find them and you have to shoot them so that you get 30 more seconds, so that you can suffer for 30 more seconds looking at that goddamn clock on the bottom of the screen. Meanwhile, I'm still enjoying my time with Destiny 2 a whole bunch. You know, that's kind of weird. I still enjoy the game because of the solid gameplay. I like the gunplay in Destiny. It's really good. It's just the best gunplay that you can get in first-person shooters in consoles, in my opinion, is Destiny. So that part has been extremely satisfying. The fact that I've been going with my clan to do the raid, that has also been extremely satisfying because it's nice to see. You know, it's basically nice to be with people and doing the raid activity. That is like one of my favorite things in Destiny, and it's also why I've done it so many times, and even in attempts where I basically don't get loot, and just like for everybody else, because it's just fun for me to like go through those mechanics and stuff, and it's fun. And then when it comes time to actually have to do the Nightfalls, I'm just screaming at my screen because I hate it. And also bring spaceship battles. Thank you. Anyway, that's going to be it. That's all I really had to say. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Helps out a lot. If you're new here, subscribe so that you're always notified when there is a new video. You guys know what to do. Comments, feedback, all kinds of good stuff in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next one.